Hi everyone, my name is Mr. H and this is our second tutorial. For this tutorial, we'll be learning how to add a knitted modifier or a texture to our Snowman 3 model for Christmas. Alright, so step 1, open Blender. And our next step is we're going to add a modifier. So we're going to be using our cube to build our model, and we're going to add a subdivision modifier. So we're going to just modifiers, add modifiers, search, subdivision surface. And just like so, now we have a very rough version of our snowman head. So step 1, we're going to press G and Z to move this up. And our next step is we're going to press Shift D to duplicate it and press the Z to move that duplicate down. Now we can press S and we can make it a bit bigger. So you can play with these as you like. We can move these one at a time by pressing G and Z. You can undo with Ctrl Z, or we can move both the head and the body using Shift and left click. G and Z to move up. Alright. Okay. Now that we have our body and head, our next step is we're going to give our snowman a little top hat. So we're going to click on Add, Mesh, and Cylinder. So this is going to be the base of our hat. Now we're going to press G and Z and move this up. After that, we can press S and Z. So you scale this to be flat for a hat. And then press G and Z to move this down. And we just want to attach that right there. Don't mind this little portion, it's going to be covered up with our hat. Alright, now you can press S if you just want to play around with the how big our hat's going to be. So I'm going to have our hat be relatively small to our head of our snowman. The reason being is we don't want the overhangs to affect our print model. So what overhangs means is in 3D printing, if you have a XY printer, like for example the Bamboo Labs A1 Mini, when you don't have any material under it, it's just being printed in like on top of air, this causes an overhang. So depending on what material you're printing with, it might not print properly. So we're going to try to minimize our overhang with a little trick. So we're going to go to edit mode, or you can press tab. We're going to click to face select. We're going to select this bottom face, and we're going to press I, and we're going to move that down. So move it as close as you can to his head, and then we can just press this move tool, and we're just going to move this down. And now, instead of it printing in thin air, it's just going to have a little like curve, so it could use this as leverage to be printed. And then we can just scale this part down till we don't see it anymore. Just a little trick. Now for the top of our hat, we're just going to use face select again, select the top, and we're going to press I again, and we're going to move this more towards the center. So you just play around with this. I want it to be just about here, and then we can just press E to extrude that top portion. There you are. Alright. Now I just moved back to the very front of our snowman, and now our next step will be making the nose and eyes. So our snowman will not have a mouth. You will be able to customize it on your own if you'd like. Our snowman would not have a scarf either. I just want this to be a simple snowman for us to add our knitted pattern to. Alright. So, once again, we're going to select the head. Make sure you go to object mode. So select the head, and we're going to duplicate this. So Shift D. And we're going to move this out with X. And we're going to add a mirror modifier. So we're going to add modifier, search, and let's look for mirror. So the reason we're using a mirror modifier is so both eyes are symmetrical and we only have to do half the work. So we're going to use the y-axis. We're going to take away this x-axis and we're going to do mirror object head, or the head of our snowman. Then we're going to go to edit mode. We're going to press A. We're going to click on this little move tool. I'm just going to separate it. And then we can press S to scale down. So I want my eyes to be just like this. Alright. And I'm going to move them up as well. Boom. Alright. Now we're going to give him a little nose. So our nose is going to be a carrot. So we're going to select again the head. We're going to press Shift D. And then we're going to press X to move this out. Then we're going to scale this down. Scale it down a little more, depending on the size you would like. Once we scaled it to how we like it, we can go to edit mode. And we're going to be extruding this portion and scaling it down. Then in this bottom part, to reduce overhangs again, we're just going to move this down just a little bit. Now you can press A to select everything, press G and X. And we're going to connect it to his nose. And there we are. Let's also reduce the overhangs a little bit by scaling it down just a tiny bit. We can also play around on what height we want it to be on our snowman by pressing G and Z. So if you want the nose to be here, up here, or right in the middle, it's really up to your choice. Alright. Now that our snowman has a beautiful face, we now have to do our arms. Now for the arms, we're going to be adding a cube. So we're going to press add, mesh, and cube. And we're going to add two things. So first, we're going to add a displacement modifier. A subdivision modifier. And then we're going to add a mirror modifier. So the subdivision is so it looks smoother and has more faces for it to work with. And our mirror modifier is so we only have to work on one arm at a time. So we're going to take off the x-axis and we're going to use the y-axis. We're going to do mirror object. And we're going to select our body right here. Now we can go to edit mode. We use this move tool and move this to the right and up. And we're going to just scale them down with S. Now we're going to move it a little closer to here, or wherever you'd like. So I'm going to start my arms right there. And just scale it down a little more. Now, our next step is we're going to press E to extrude. And we're going to be extruding up. Like so. So we're going to extrude again. And I'm going to extrude one finger to the right, like this, and then another to the left. So don't worry if you can't see it. So we're going to press A and use the move tool to just move this to the right side, so we have a chance to play around with this. So I extrude this to the left, and I'm just going to extrude again. Alright. Now, using face select, we can select this face with Alt and just scale this down to make it thinner. So we might want to select these. We can also play around with this by moving that down. We can move these to the center, or we can scale it. So I'm kind of giving him like a Lego arm, but that's fine. Just keep playing around until you like your model. Just connecting this portion. All right. So I've got the arms that I like. Once again, you can just keep scaling this down. We can also increase our subdivision if you want it to look a little smoother, but I'm going to keep it as it was before. All right. So I'm going to press A, and I'm going to move this back. And I'm going to press S to scale down, because I don't want to give him such big arms. Lastly, we can use the rotate tool to just rotate this so we can have our hands on the side. And there you have it. All right. Our next step is we're going to be adding the knitted pattern to the bottom, or the body and the head. So to do that, first we're going to be adding a displace modifier. So search, and we're going to be looking for displace. All right. Then you're going to click on new. You're going to go here to textures, and you're going to rename this to knitted. Now for our knitted pattern, you're either going to go to our link down in the description, or you're going to visit our website. So you're going to go on Google, and you're going to search up screws and circuits. So you're going to go to this site, you're going to go to the drop down menu, and you're going to look for tutorials. Now you're going to click on this image and download it in your downloads. Once that's done, you're going to open Blender, and you're going to press open down here and click on your file. So I'm going to have my file. I'm going to search this. It should be somewhere here. If you're having some trouble looking for it, just look for the search bar and search up woven. And then click it and press open. And there you have it. So our texture, our pattern is here on the right, but if we look back at our face, it looks a little weird. So we're going to fix that. So you're going to go back to modifiers, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to change coordinates to UV and strength to 0.1. Once that's done, we're also going to increase our subdivisions. And you'll see slowly our knitted pattern starts to go as we like. We might want to also shrink it down with S. And there you have it. So my snowman looks a little angry, because it looks like it gives him a little bit of eyebrows, but that's fine. So now for the body, we're going to do the same thing. So add modifier, search, displace. And here we won't be pressing new. We're just going to click on this drop down and knitted. And similar as before, local, UV, strength, 0.1, enter, and increase the subdivisions. There you have it. Now our knitted pattern is kind of going from left to right on both ends, but I want ours to go from top to bottom. To change this, we're going to click on UV editing. You're going to go to modifiers, and you're going to click here so we can view our progress here in edit mode, which is what we're in. Click that there. Then you're going to click on this square right here. You're going to click on A, and we're going to click R to rotate. And we're going to rotate this to how we like it. So I'm going to rotate to be 90 degrees. There you go. And I'm going to do the same thing for the bottom portion. So we're just going to click this to exit out of edit mode. click on our body and go back to edit mode. Now click here. Make sure to also click here so we can see our progress in edit mode. Click the left side again, press A, and we're going to rotate it with R. And there you go. Now we have our knitted pattern on both the head and the body. Alright, so we're not done yet. To go back to the regular layout, we can just click here in layout. Okay, so now our next steps is we gotta connect this model to be all one piece. So to do that, we're gonna add a Boolean modifier. Before I do that, I'm just gonna move this part just a little higher so his arms aren't trapped in his body. Okay, so first we're gonna add the eyes to our head. To do that, first we need to apply all these modifiers. We also have to apply the modifiers of the eyes. So we can just apply all the modifiers we have so far, because we won't be making any more changes. If you plan on making more changes, don't apply the modifiers until you are done. Alright, so I'm going to click on the head. I'm going to click on add modifier, search, and I'm going to look for Boolean. And then we're going to do union, because we're going to attach another part to this part. So we're going to use this eyedropper here, and we're just going to click on the eye. Once that's done, we can click this drop down and we're going to click on duplicate. And now here we're going to click X, we're going to click on the nose. So let me make sure everything's correct. Yep, we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Alright, so let's apply those. Alright, and now we can delete the excess. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now this is all one model. And we can also do the same for our hat. So we're going to add modifier, Boolean, union, this eyedropper, click on the hat, and we're just going to press apply. And we can delete this as well. Alright, now if you don't like the visual effects, we can just right click this and just do shade auto smooth, and it'll just visually smooth it out. Alright, so now we're gonna click on file here. You're gonna save your file, and once you've saved your file and given it a name, you're gonna go back, click on export and STL, so we're able to print it on our printer. So I have a Bamboo printer, so I'm going to be using Bamboo Studio. So you just go to where you want to download your file. So I'm going to put mine there. To rename it, you can just delete the untitled text and leave the .stl or the .blend. So that's going to be the format of the file. And you just delete the initial untitled portion, and you can name your file. So I'm going to name this to knitted snowman and export. Now that's exported, we can go to your downloads and open your STL file. Now you just wait for that to open, and once your slice is open, wait for your thing to load. I'm going to click cancel on this. You might have an error saying that your model is either too large or too small, but that's fine because there's a tool in Bamboo Studio Slicer called scale, and this will allow us to scale our snowman back to size. So I want him to be mini, like so. And alright, now we can click on slice plate, And now we can see our model. So you can see not much overhangs, but there are a few. So we're going to want to add some supports, which are trees. So let's go to supports, enable supports, and tree auto. We can give this a try. And then just click print and you'll be ready to go.